I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
Even after this gem, the Democrats still have to spend $20 million figuring out how they keep losing male voters. Nothing says we totally get men like a crisp flannel shirt and the phrase, man enough to support Kamala. If you remember, that ad was part of the 2024 Harris-Walz campaign's big push to reconnect with male voters. It didn't work because when your best pitch to young men is brand-safe masculinity in a campaign ad, you've probably already lost the room.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
And I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
And now, after trying the strong jawline and soft hands approach, Democrats are in full panic mode. Enter the SAM project. It's called Speaking with American Men, but it might as well be Studying American Men, because that's what it is. It's a recent $20 million initiative to study, and I'm quoting here, why American men are disengaging from the Democratic Party. Think consultants, focus groups, language analysis, and yes, video game behavior tracking.
They're going to set $20 million on fire with a bunch of pollsters and consultants to try to figure out how they have completely lost touch with half the country, right? Especially younger men.
And he's not wrong. Look at the numbers. In 2024, Democrats lost men aged 18 to 44 by 16 points. Nearly half of Latino men voted for Trump. 1 in 3 black men did too. That's not just slippage, that's a full-blown demographic exodus. So now Democrats are pouring cash into research teams and focus groups, trying to crack the code on male disinterest. So now the Democratic strategy is studying the species. Figure out how men talk, how they vote, what they meme, what they watch, who they trust, and what are they finding? Well, let's just say it's not subtle.
The reason why Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? It's like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody. And Republicans say, you get to do that. And then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost men, it's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what are you, like, what is going on? Like there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously. And it's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
The New York Times reported that one focus group participant, a Democratic voter, by the way, described masculinity as a value system based on truth, honor, and duty. Others described male identity in terms like apex predators or sloths, and felt the progressive movement had no place for either. The Times also quoted a Democratic strategist who admitted the entire project felt like a safari, as if party operatives were aliens studying men as a species, not a constituency.
It's as if Democrats are discovering a new tribe and they're trying to do some sort of analysis of this tribe that has never had contact with humanity before or modern civilization.
And that approach, it's landing exactly as bad as you'd expect. Rolling Stone called the whole effort expensive and condescending, Fox News roasted it as a political anthropology for people who live on Twitter. Let's be real, Sam isn't outreach, it's damage control. It's what happens when a party spends years acting like masculinity is a problem and then wonders why men won't vote for them. So let's talk about how we got here.
Or how are they working their two jobs? Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun.
That was David Hogg, former vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, candidly addressing the party's disconnect with young men. His point that young men feel judged by Democrats and are drifting away as a result. Hogg elaborated.
Right now, what I think happened last election is younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with, that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated.
This sentiment reflects a broader issue: the Democratic Party's approach to masculinity. Over the past decade, terms like toxic masculinity have become commonplace in progressive discourse, often painting traditional male behaviors in a negative light. In fact, a 2024 Pew Research study found that 48% of Democrats say that looking up to manly or masculine men is a bad thing. And while addressing dangerous behaviors is essential, the blanket criticisms have left American men feeling alienated. Just consider these statistics. Self-harm rates among men are nearly 4 times higher than among women. Men account for the majority of workplace deaths, homelessness, and incarceration. And in education, men are falling behind, with college enrollment now nearly 60% female. Yet these issues seldom take center stage in Democratic platforms. When men voice concerns, they're often dismissed or labeled as part of the problem. This lack of acknowledgement has contributed to a growing sense of disenfranchisement among male voters. The result, a significant shift in voting patterns. In 2024, young men aged 18 to 29 favored Donald Trump over Kamala Harris by a margin of 56% to 42%. It turns out telling guys they're the villain in every election doesn't really win votes. Who knew? So after years of sidelining male-centric issues, the Democrats are now investing $20 million into the SAM project, hoping to understand and win back male voters. But here's the irony. While they scramble to reconnect, their own rhetoric continues to alienate. As a recent Media Watch post on X pointed out, associating traditional male behaviors such as working out and eating red meat with being right-wing or red pill might not be the best strategy for getting men to vote blue. When typical male interests are labeled problematic or politically incorrect, it's easy to see where the issue might be. Even within their ranks, some Democrats acknowledge the problem. Here's Senator John Fetterman on a recent podcast.
People, they don't even want to say it publicly, but they just feel like, the other side seems like it's like men, that men's the problem, men are to blame, or their masculinity is toxic, or unless you're able to conform to our very strict kinds of definition of what we think's appropriate, well then, hey, I'm going to find an alternative.
But even when Democrats acknowledge the problem, they still haven't figured out how to package themselves in a way that feels natural, or even remotely honest. Remember the viral Choose Your Fighter clip? Yeah, they clearly don't grasp the cultures they're trying to bring aboard. The disconnect is, frankly, astonishing. So here's my question to you. What does the Democratic Party actually need to win back male voters? Can $20 million really fix this? Or is it way bigger than that? Has the rhetoric already done too much damage? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below.